All right, so people running out of money. I mean, this is like, first off, it's very alarming to me that people are running out of money in retirement. I don't think it should be even a topic of conversation, but the reality is it's the biggest fear of people and it's happening.
It is.
So why?
Well, I'd say the number one problem is the death of the pension.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back 30, 40 years ago, everybody had their pension as one leg of the stool. Their Social Security is the other leg. And then they had some retirement savings for backup. That was the three-legged stool. And now the pension's gone.
Yep.
Right? I mean, only really government workers have pensions now. So nobody knows what they're going to have guaranteed in retirement.
And people are trying to recreate the paycheck with a stock market investment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we see mostly is there's no actual income strategy to the retirement.
Right.
It's like, hey, we've had some good runs and good recent years. We'll just keep doing exactly what we're doing, but no actual income strategy. The problem when you have no income strategy is one of two things. We see it a lot. One of two things. It's either you overspend or you underspend, which can be just as bad, right? If you underspend and you don't actually live the retirement of your dreams, you live off of just like your Social Security check, that's not that enticing either.
You know, it's such a great point because look, I've taken a lot of heat for, being the annuity guy, if you will, right? Yeah. Even though we're fiduciaries and we have to do what's in the best interest of the client, but yet we've decided to solve this problem. I look at the annuity and the guaranteed income as a plan that gives you permission to spend.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part, and it boils down to what actually matters in a retirement plan. It's not whether it's large cap or small cap or international funds. It's clarity.
Yes.
Right. And to your point, Neil, no one has any clarity with the income, and we truly see people, even with advisors now, whose income plan is, hey, let me know when you need some money.
Hey, do you want do you want a salary in retirement or do you want a commission check? Because I look at the stock market as a commission check.
Sure.
I mean, if it's going up, sure, you could take money.
Yeah.
But if it's going down, you better stop.
And you might hit it big too in the stock market.
Yes.
Just like if you're working for commission, you might hit it big. You might have a great year.
Yes.
But you might not.
That's right.
And so if you look at most people and you gave them the option, hey, do you want to be paid commission or salary? I would guess about 90% are taking the salary.
Yes.
Yet all of a sudden retirement hits and we want commission.
Well, right. And if you're that commission person, you're always saving for that rainy day. When am I going to need it? I can't spend it yet because what if I don't make it next year?
Great point.
I have these folks that just came in. They've been retired 5 years, living only on their Social Security. They have over $1 million, but they're terrified to spend because they don't have a plan.
Yeah, well, like we said, the income plan, when you build an income strategy, you're giving yourself permission to spend because you're taking the unknown and turning it into the known.
Right.
And if you're in the market, think about this. Okay, if I have growth in my stock accounts, all right, and I'm taking money out on a monthly basis, right? Well, let's say it grows more than what I'm taking out, right? So I'm taking out, but it's still growing.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean that growth is going to be there in the future because it could be wiped out like that.
Right. Yeah.
So you're not even protecting the money that's growing.
Correct.
Right? You're not even getting those assets off the table. They're still on the table to disappear.
Right. Yeah.
And I think is it a function of the financial industry? Is it the fact that we've got this antiquated advice still and nobody wants to break that mold?
And I think it's also a function of this is what the strategy has been up to this point as well, right?
Right.
I mean, when you're in your working years, when you're in your growth phase, that is the strategy, right? Because you're not thinking about, you have such a time horizon towards retirement. And what people miss is that the strategy has to shift when your needs shift.
Right.
Now the need is not get to the highest number possible or get to point A to Z as fast as possible. It's what the income strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
And the growth strategy and the income strategy are not the same investment
And I get it. That can be a hard shift to make. You know, you've been doing the same thing for 30, 40 years. I put money in, it grows, and then one day I'll have this nest egg. No one teaches you how to retire. They teach you how to save. Sacrifice, don't buy everything you see, save a little bit of money, put it in the 401k. But then what?
Change.
Yeah.
Nobody likes change.
Right.
And they're saying, and that's why the annuity can be so scrutinized, because it's something different. It's change.
Right.
And so, hey, I get it. We used to buy stocks and bonds and try and grow our portfolio, but now we're in a different phase and we need to change. And wait a minute, we don't want to change.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's different.
There's always different chapters in life, though. I mean, you just look at school in general, right? You go to, you go 1 through 4th grade, then you go 5th through high school, right? Then you go to college. I mean, can you imagine graduating college and then going, I'm just going to keep going to class? I mean, that's what it is like when someone retires, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm just going to continue to go to class. No, your job is to get a job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The next chapter is to get a job.
Yes.
And so why are we not treating retirement the same way, where we go, okay, I'm graduating from work. I'm going to retirement. Now I need to be responsible and change what I'm doing, because the whole game's changing.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I think, what's interesting is the people that we work best with are the planners, the people that are very analytical in their careers, the people that are in accounting, the people that are engineers, the people that are in IT, the ones that are very analytical. They love our planning style because they need that predictability and peace of mind going into retirement. Just throwing some money in cash is an income plan.
Yes.
No.
I mean, I hear this all the time. I know we saw it last week,
Right.
Where a couple said, hey, our strategy for income is our advisor had us move $50,000 into cash. We're going to use that for the first 6 months of 2026 and then let them know we're out of money. What should we do next? What happens if the market's down from now until then?
Yeah.
Do you add more to cash? What do you do?
Well, wait. So wait. So I have $50,000 in cash. Let's say I got $1 million invested. The market goes down 20%. I lose $200,000. I burn through my cash. Now
what?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pull more out of the market.
Well, the advisor said just don't pull any out, right? So your second 6 months of your retirement, you're to sit still. Don't do anything.
But here's the outcome of that. For them, it was they had more than enough than they need to retire, but yet they're still terrified.
Yeah.
Because there's no predictability. And over the years that we've all been doing this, how many times do people say, well, why wouldn't I just take money out when the market's up and stop taking it out when the market's down?
Right.
Yes.
As if the market only goes up 1 year and down another.
Right.
You're not up
That
and
is
down
right.
every
Right.
single
Right.
day.
Right.
And we can't put our lives on hold. And the folks that we work with don't want to put their lives on hold based on the ticker symbol they saw in the morning news and whether it was green or red.
Listen, I couldn't imagine if I'm an engineer, right, and I'm building a bridge. I want to make sure that my structure is 100% stable.
Yeah.
Could you imagine building a bridge that you were using parts where you go, that part may work, it may not.
Yeah.
And this part may work, it may not.
And
Are you
this
going
bridge-
over that bridge?
And this bridge has
And
a
it doesn't-
93% chance of staying. I like my
Yeah. And if it's not working out, we'll just tell people not to drive on it.
Right. Yeah.
right.
It's really disheartening, man, to know that. Because here's the thing. The big box firms have done an incredible job with building a really great, credible reputation. So people think that if I'm with, and I'm not going to name any names, but the big ones, right, that everybody knows, well, I must be good. I must be okay.
Let's be safe.
But if you were to actually understand and look behind the curtain in the financial industry, as we get to do, because you and I have sat with many advisors that have worked for those big box firms that are now independent. And what kinds of things do they tell us?
Well, that's what's very interesting. You'll hear a lot of people say, well, I was told never to buy an annuity.
Right.
Well, have your advisor show you some options of annuities.
Oh, well, we don't work with annuities.
That's exactly what's going to
What do
happen.
you mean? Well, how do I know if it's good or bad if it's not in the toolbox of my advisor?
That's right.
And that's what we've heard having conversations. Hey, I worked at XYZ big box firm. We didn't offer annuities. Or maybe we offered annuities that were approved by the organization. Maybe it's 2 insurance companies and they didn't have good products. Never used them. They shift to an independent world and say, gosh, these annuities are a no-brainer.
Neil and I have heard this for a long time, where these guys that leave these big box firms have these moments of awakening where they go, holy smokes, I've been wrong and I've been lied to. Because now that I understand this annuity world and I understand the impact it really has, I cannot believe that I was against it for so long.
Well, it's interesting. One of the things that, and Neil, if you remember this conversation, we were speaking with a colleague, and what he said was, now that I'm on this side of things, I actually feel like a fiduciary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he knew that he had every tool at his disposal. And I hear you say it all the time, Neil, right? Where if this person only is able to work with 1 or 2 companies, and they know that XYZ company down the road can get a better guaranteed lifetime income, can get a better fixed rate of return, but I can't use it, are they truly acting as a fiduciary?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
And what does it mean to be a fiduciary? To do what is in someone's best interest. And how do you do that? You need to build a plan that's individualized to their needs. With these big box firms, it's really interesting. We see people come in all the time that think their plan's unique,
Right.
that it's individualized to
Right.
them. But all it is the same cookie cutter 60-40 split
100%,
every
yes.
single time that's going to follow the 4% rule with a 3% cost of living adjustment to it in a 30-page little plan with bar charts and pie graphs, and that's it. It's the same exact thing, rinse and repeat. They have no individuality in the big box firms. And they can't.
Wait, think about this. I mean, in life, we all have people that influence our beliefs. And so let's look at our parents, for example. Our parents may say, hey, whatever you do, don't ever drive a motorcycle. You could be killed instantly, right? And so now you become an adult and you want to adventure out and do things, but in the back of your mind, you're going, I'm never going to buy a motorcycle because I know I'll be killed instantly. That's the same impact that an advisor can have on somebody, right? Where they tell somebody, don't ever, whatever you do, don't ever buy an annuity. Though they're high in commission, they're high in fees, and the person that's selling the annuity, all they care about is the commission that they're going to make.
What's really the biggest risk, we hear all the time that they should teach finance in high school.
Right.
People need to learn finance. The biggest risk of someone teaching finance in high school is the teacher.
The personal bias.
The teacher.
Yeah,
Because like
good
you
point.
said, Brian, I've had a client, I picked up a new client this year. She had $1.3 million in checking and savings. 0 invested.
Wow.
Last year, she earned $1,000 of interest from the bank. I said, why do you have so much money in the bank? She said, this is what my parents taught me.
Wow.
You keep your money in the bank for safety.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that strategy actually worked when mom and dad taught her that strategy. Maybe they're buying bank CDs for 10 or 15%.
Well, of course, because in the 80s, I mean, I think it was Volcker that came into the Fed and raised interest rates to like 15%. So you were able to keep your money at the bank.
Right.
And on top
But that's what she learned.
But that's what she learned, right? And so that's the dangerous part about looking at someone in your life as your teacher or your mentor, and this person telling me something where now this becomes my belief. And I would challenge people, you know what? Go look at your options out there for building income. You've got bonds. Okay, well, what's the risk of those? They can go up and down just like stocks. People don't realize that. There's been no yield on stocks whatsoever. If you want yield on stocks, if you want yield on bonds, you know what you're going to go do? You're going to go find a company that is in financial trouble that's offering a bond, because folks, if you don't know this, when you're buying a bond, you're basically loaning money to a company.
Right.
And in order to get yield in the environment we've been in, you're buying junk bonds, which basically means you're buying companies that are in trouble.
I'm glad he brings it up, because, the big box firms have been told why you don't buy annuities. One of the reasons you don't buy annuities is because, the insurance company is about to fail, right? My question would be, first of all, A-rated insurance companies, which are the only ones that we use, they don't fail. It's been the 90s.
And by the way, they're inspected by every 50 states that they do business in.
Right.
Right? They're the only highly audited companies out there that you can buy. And this is why they get a rating.
Yes. But my question always is, okay, if you buy bonds, are you doing an audit on the company that you're lending the money to? Of course not.
No.
Why are you not?
Right.
You're worried about this A-rated massive insurance carrier who, by the way, you have insurance on your insurance.
Right.
But someone sells you a bond, you're not worried about.
You're not
You
worried
buy a junk bond to get a yield.
Yeah.
No.
Or the bond mutual fund that's got about 30 bonds in it. You're not inspecting all of
No
those
idea
30
what's
bonds.
in it.
You're just saying, oh, it's this bond mutual fund. You're looking at it as one thing. But in fact, there's 30 bonds in this thing that you're buying. You're not looking at any of those individual companies that money is going into, but yet you're worried about an A-rated insurance company failing.
So the point, I'm sorry,
No, go
Ben,
ahead.
the point, things change, they evolve, right? Like when mom and dad taught this woman to save and invest at the bank, it was the right strategy back then. You were getting a safe rate of return, 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
Now things change and evolve. And the annuities, when they first were presented, were variable annuities. And everyone was buying a variable annuity. And, we actually don't use those. There's a lot of reasons why. But initially, variable annuities took up the bulk of annuity sales, about 90%.
Yeah.
Today, variable annuities are about 10% of the volume of annuities sold. Things have changed, and you got to understand there are better ways. And I would say 100% of people, when they actually understand and are open,
Oh, yeah.
they like the idea of it.
Once they understand.
I had no idea it worked that way.
Yeah.
My gosh, if I would have only met you 10 years ago.
Why didn't anyone show me?
Yes. Right. When people are open to really learning and understanding, they have that moment that I did 25 years ago, right? Where I go, hold on a second. Wait a minute. You're telling me that I can guarantee someone's income for the rest of their life with roughly a 10 to 11% yield?
Right.
And if the balance goes to zero, the insurance company is still going to pay them? I mean, I showed you guys the letter recently from one of the big insurance companies that one of our clients got that said, your account balance has gone to zero. You've gone into the insurance portion of your annuity, and we're going to continue to make payments for you.
They've won.
It was the greatest letter to ever see.
They won.
You're seeing it all happen.
Yes. They won. Yeah.
They beat the
They
insurance
beat the
company.
insurance company.
And that's
Now the insurance
it's really
company on the hook. Yeah.
It's really living insurance, right? I mean, we buy life insurance for when we die.
Right.
But what happens if we don't die?
Right.
Right? The number one concern of people is running out of money. And it's a great way to ensure that you don't have.
Well, and Brian, you say this all the time. We insure everything in our lives.
Yes.
Everything that's important, at least, right? We insure our health.
Yep.
We insure our cars. We insure our homes. Everything that you cannot afford for it to go wrong because it's expensive to fix.
Yes.
But everyone is terrified to insure their income, which you need to pay for everything else in your life, right? So it's the number one most important thing that you need to focus on in retirement. And that's why people are so scared going into retirement now, is they just don't know what's to come.
And why do you insure your income? Well, one, you don't know what the performance of the stock market's going to be.
Right.
You don't know how long you're going to live.
Yep.
Those are the two main reasons why you do it, right? And on top of it, you don't have the time to recover if the market goes down. What people fail to realize also is that when you graduate from work into retirement, you are no longer contributing to your plan. And when you're contributing to your plan and the market goes down, you are offsetting those losses with your contributions, which allows your account to bounce back quickly. So people have an unusual, or I should say, they think that the account is going to bounce back faster, right? But the reality is when you retire, it's not going to bounce back as quickly as it did when you were working because you had contributions going in.
And that's one important thing to make clear is that the income annuity is not the whole plan. Right?
No,
Or the
no,
fixed
it's a
annuity
piece
is
of
not
the plan.
We
Great
love
point.
the market.
We love the market.
We
yes.
love the market, but with the income annuity, that kind of third key point with that ensuring your income does is it gives the market what it truly needs, and what the retiree loses as soon as you become a spender, not a saver, is a time horizon.
Yes, correct.
And what we need to finish on that, what you were talking about with your 401k, you're putting money in. So when the market's going down, you're actually buying at a lower cost, putting money in, seeing it bounce back quicker. Well, you're doing the opposite in retirement.
Yes.
You're actually pulling money out, which is going to lock in and compound that loss.
Correct.
And so it's not going to recover.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you are destroying the most beautiful thing that works for all of us in the market, and that's compounding interest.
Right. Yep.
When you're pulling your money out, even if you're siphoning off less than it's growing, you're still affecting the compounding interest that account could be doing. So imagine this. Imagine rather than doing it that way, we carve off a little piece and we use the least amount of money to create the highest amount of income we can. And now your stock market money can be long-term. You don't have to touch it, which allows us to get the full maximum effect of compounding interest, right? And if it goes out, you're not taking money out and locking in the losses.
But what do we
There's
hear?
no panic.
What do we hear?
Right.
But then I'm tying my money up.
Yeah, right.
I'm locking my money up. And if I die, it all goes away.
Right.
Is that true?
No.
No.
Well, you know, what's interesting is we ask people a lot, do you know the difference between a stock and a bond? And typically the answer is no, because they think if they're in a bond, they're safe, they're more conservative. It's not. And really the only way to buy a bond is through an individual bond, right?
Yeah.
And if you buy an individual bond, you're still subjected to volatility, interest rate risk, right? So if you had a $100,000 bond paying you 4%, you're going to have a time period attached to that bond, right?
Correct, yeah.
Maybe a 5-year time period.
That's right.
And they're going to pay you $4,000 every year.
That's right.
And if you only need the interest, no problem.
Right.
But let's say 1 year that $4,000 isn't enough. You need $12,000. Well, what are you going to have to do? You have to sell off some of your bond. Now,
and
what
depending on where
happens?
interest rates are at.
Yeah. So if
Sell at a
now
loss.
the interest rate environment is now they're offering people 5.5% on that $100,000 bond.
Yeah.
Guess what?
No one wants your 4%
No one
bond.
wants your 4% bond.
Right.
So you're going to have to sell it at a loss. So you still have a contract.
Yeah.
Right.
But this one enables you to actually put less in the annuity
Correct.
because you want to spend down the annuity to give your market money time.
And I think that's a really important piece to understand too, because we talk about the numbers side of it all day, but there's a psychological side of it too.
Oh, yeah.
If you can take that panic away from seeing red on the morning news every morning and know, hey, I don't really care because I know I have my income to go out to dinner tonight and take the vacation next month
That's
that we're
right.
going on. That peace of mind, that's what we're
Well,
here
look
for.
at your
That's why we
dad.
do what we
Look at
do.
your dad, who's
Exactly.
a good friend of mine, also a client. Never thought, I mean, that just evolved in itself. But but you tell that story.
Yeah, and it's really why I even am here and why I do what I do and why I found you guys in a weird way, because usually in this industry you become a client of the firm because a family friend, a niece, a nephew, hey, we'll help them out, we'll get started, buy life insurance, let them manage some money. I found you guys because my dad has been a client about 15 years.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know at that time is that at 54 he was starting over.
Yes.
With his retirement savings. And what I saw was the peace of mind and the clarity. And it wasn't, hey, Larry, here's this 25% guaranteed rate of return that you're going to get for the next 30 years, or here's a big pile of money, go spend it on your family. But for the first time, he saw what the next 30 years with some predictability and some clarity was going to look like.
Yes.
And so he could drop his shoulders.
He, he was helping me out with some operational stuff at the company, right?
Sure.
And he's got a company that does that type of work. And so when we were, strategizing, and I was talking to him about the type of work that we do, and we would have these conversations about what we're doing at the practice. And I would share with him our investment management philosophy, just so he could help us with some of the operational stuff. And so I remember after many weeks of talking with him, he finally said to me, hey, I've got to talk to you about this annuity thing you keep talking about, because it sounds very, very interesting. And now, Larry is a very analytical guy. Right? He is high maintenance. He's one of the smartest guys I know. He's probably got a photographic memory to a certain degree. And when he goes to me, look, I've done all this research on these annuities. And he comes in, he's got this pile of research like this. And he's probably one of the best researchers I've ever met, right? And he says, I need to buy one of these. This is exactly what I need. I'm tired of having my money with these advisors and losing it. And every time we lose it, they just say to me, don't worry, Larry, it'll come back. Remember, you're in it for the long haul. Really, those are the cookie cutter phrases that drive me nuts, because you are not in it for the long haul. You
No.
no longer
Not anymore.
have the long haul on your side because you're going into a phase of your life where you need to start withdrawing the money.
Right.
That's when the long haul ends.
Right.
Right? Just because you've got maybe a 25-year time horizon in retirement, right? You can't look at that time that you're going to spend in retirement as the long haul. The long haul means that you have the ability not to touch that money.
Correct.
That's what that means.
Right. Yeah.
Not the time, not my life expectancy.
Right.
Very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think what we have seen is, number one, the last 25 years that we've helped people position their retirement, I've never had to apologize to anybody for their plan failing. We've got a 98% client retention rate. I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There is a reason for that. And, when we are working with people that are looking to hire us, right? And we talk to them about what type of planning they've currently been doing, we find out that the advisor is not giving them any advice of when to take Social Security. They're not giving them any advice how to prevent from running out of money. They're not giving them any advice on how to replace the paycheck.
Right.
And if you look at the way that the big box firms are advising people to take income, let's say you needed $40,000 a year. Okay, under the big box firms plan, you're going to need $1 million to get $40,000 a year.
Right.
Under our plan, we need $400,000 a year to get $40,000 a year. Which plan would you want? Because I can get you $40,000 off of $400,000 and keep your $600,000 in the market, or I can get you $40,000 off your $1 million.
Right.
Which just logically makes more
And
sense.
then you have no flexibility, right?
Zero
If
flexibility.
you need all $1 million to create that 40,000, and you have an emergency, something bad happens, you need $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Well, you can't touch that,
Right.
Because you need that $1 million to create your 40,000.
Yes.
So there's no safety net there either.
Zero.
With the way we plan, if you have 40% of your money focusing on 100% of your income, that other 60%, yes, the goal of it's long-term growth, but if something happens, that's not going to disturb your lifestyle if you pull from that bucket now.
Yes.
Because you have the safety. These big box firms, everyone's scared of the annuity because it's a contract and your money's locked in. The contract you sign with the big box firm in that 90 to 100 page document, if we lose all your money in the stock market, you can't sue us.
Yeah. By the way, it does say that on all the paperwork.
Yes.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
If you look too at the disclosures from a big box firm like that, it actually says that they can't help you with a lot of the planning, including tax planning, right? As a fiduciary firm, our focus is always on the 5 areas that we talk about constantly, right? It starts with income. That's the most important piece. If you're going to retire, you got to have some sort of predictability.
Right.
But it also involves picking the right investments after understanding the income needs. It involves helping you tax plan.
Yeah.
It involves passing money in the legacy aspect. It involves the healthcare piece of it. And so it's really tying in all 5 areas. And a lot of times their hands are tied behind their back on anything but what the computer program is telling them of how you should be invested. And that's really the only advice.
Well,
they have.
I mean, look, we were talking the other day, about, all the planning services that we offer. And, we were sitting with a guy at a mastermind event that had worked for the big box firms. And he said to you and I, he goes, I was never allowed to talk about tax planning. I wasn't allowed to do it. I had to tell the client that you need to consult with your tax advisor.
Right.
And to me, I think to myself, gosh, if you're a fiduciary and your job is to do what's in the best interest of the client and provide this full service, planning menu, how are you not able to talk to them about tax planning?
And how dysfunctional is that? I mean, everyone has heard of the game of telephone, right?
Yes.
If you have a guy that handles the investments and someone that handles the taxes and someone that handles the legacy side of it and someone that handles the healthcare. Are they all in perfect synergy working together? No, because one of them doesn't know this one important piece of the plan. And then your legacy and retirement plan might not be working together.
And they all play into one another. That's the biggest part with this is if you, not only are they not doing the tax planning, but if you're not thinking about the tax planning when you're creating your income plan, you might be setting yourself for an RMD bomb and a tax nightmare.
Well, let's talk about that because somebody that is watching this going, well, I'm different because I don't need any income.
Yeah.
I can keep all my money in the market, and that's what I'm doing, and we'll be fine. Okay, great. But did you realize that if all of that money you have is in an IRA account or a 401k or whatever, that if you die, about half of it's going to go to the IRS because you're not doing any planning whatsoever? People don't realize, one, Ben said the RMD tax bomb, which stands for required minimum distribution, which is the amount of money the IRS is going to make you take out at the age of 73, right? And that is a forced amount, right? You have no choice. You've got to take it. If you don't, there's a big penalty, right? And on top of it, if you allow your money in your tax deferred accounts to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger without any tax planning, when that RMD does kick off, it's going to be big. It's going to affect your income, which could affect how much you pay on your Social Security taxes, how much you pay on taxes in general, how much you pay for your Medicare. I mean, the compounding effect is massive, let alone the fact that the majority of the money when you die is going to go to the IRS.
So you don't need income. So now it's going to affect, if you don't plan, your taxes, your health care, your legacy, every other piece of it.
Yes,
right? So just because you're one of the fortunate few that have a pension, let's say, that doesn't mean you still don't need a plan.
You're not out of the woods.
No.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. I think, we see that all the time is that people are actively planning. And, we live in Pittsburgh. People live pretty conservative with their spending. And most people that come into the office are in very, very favorable federal tax brackets, where they have a lot of wiggle room to do planning, and they have no idea.
And they're missing that opportunity.
The amount of money they could convert at a very low tax rate of, say, 12%.
Yes.
They're not doing it. They're leaving it to their kids, who we always hear about have really high incomes. And they're going to leave it to them to deal with the problem, which tax laws have changed. Kids don't have a lifetime to inherit the money anymore. The Secure Act changed that. They got 10 years to get the money out.
And that's the problem. How long have these tax rates been favorable? Since 2017.
Right.
It's 2025 now. That's 8 years.
That you've missed out on the opportunity to go from tax deferred to tax free.
Right.
And one of the things that I want to talk about on one of our next episodes is actually how we can use annuities not only as an income source, but also as a way to have the taxes offset that you have to pay on your transfer. Because there are something out there called bonus annuities that can be used as a way to get your taxes paid for you. How nice is that?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people don't realize that if you transfer, let's say, $100,000 from a tax qualified account to a Roth IRA, right? You've got to pay taxes on that transfer. Let's say it's 12%, right? So we're talking $12,000 on $100,000. Well, we could literally get the insurance company to pay for that. And people don't even know how to use that strategy. And this is why, annuities, are not the fix everything investment vehicle, right? And by the way, they're not an investment vehicle at all. They're an insurance vehicle. That's what they are. But when you understand how to utilize the income annuity, the bonus annuity, the impact that can have on your investments is compounded massively because of how powerful these things are.
And that's why it's crucial that you work with an annuity specialist. Not somebody from the big box firm that just has one or two they could use and they're not even sure how they work.
They're not sure. How many times do we hear that? I have this annuity. I kind of had to twist his arm to put it in place for me. He wasn't really a fan of it. He talked me down from a lower, from a higher number. And then we see it,
and it's variable annuity with 4.5% fees in it. No growth. They don't know how it works. There's all these bells and whistles because that's what they had available.
Well, we think about, you had said, annuity's not perfect, right? And unfortunately, there's no perfect investment.
There is not. Right.
And if the people that we're dealing with are often 55 and older, they're looking for 4 important investment opportunities, right? They're looking for income. They want still growth, right? If they live till 99, they want to make sure that the money's not tucked under the mattress. They want safety, and they want liquidity. Now, if you think about the market's great. If you give it time, it's going to grow for you. And the market's always very liquid.
Right.
But what the market is not is safe, and it's not a great place to produce income. What an annuity is great at doing is producing your income and being safe. What an annuity is not is very liquid, and it's going to give you some growth. Okay? Now, if you have a combination of both, sounds like a pretty darn good strategy of having the best of all worlds and getting all those things that you want your money to do.
Yeah, I want to talk about that liquidity for a moment. So, because, you know, when you put your money into an annuity, right, it doesn't mean we can't touch it.
Right.
It means that it's either going to start generating a certain amount of guaranteed monthly income, or I can take out 10% without penalty.
Right.
All right. So what happens if I have $1 million invested in the market, and let's say I've got $400,000 sitting in an annuity, okay? The market goes down. And let's say I'm not using the annuity as a monthly income source yet. I'm just using it as a buffer account, right? To offset some of the risk, okay? If the market goes down, let's say 20%, and you need money, I would go to the annuity and take the money out of the annuity, even if I have to take out more than the 10% free withdrawal amount. Let's say I had to take out 15%. Fine, I'm taking 15% out. That means 5% of the money is going to have a penalty attached to it. But isn't that better than taking it out of your market account that's down 20%?
Yes.
Right.
All day long. That's the other thing, is that the annuity is 100% liquid. Just like a CD is 100% liquid, you just have to be okay with dealing with a penalty.
Right.
And think about it. Let's say you're in the third or fourth year of this annuity, right? Your penalty on that 5% that you go over is going to be roughly maybe 7%. Right. So let's say I took $100,000 out more than I should have. So I'm paying a $7,000 penalty. Okay. Versus locking into a 20% loss on my market account.
A $20,000 loss on the market.
Or $200,000 if you got $1 million in it.
right.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, you know, you talk about research, right? Your dad did a lot of research on annuities. We hear all this nonsense every day about all the research that has been put out there by probably Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
And the research is, well, you can't touch the money. Well, that's not true. You have access to 10% of the money. Typically, you can buy some annuities that you can't touch the money for a period of time. But typically, you have the access of 10% each and every year. Most actually start immediately, day one. So that's a great benefit. We always hear about, well, you know, the money's all gone if you die. I've actually asked people. I had a woman come in, a single woman. We were trying to squeeze every penny out of her plan, get her as much income as possible. She said, my brother said, do not buy an annuity because when you die, all the money's gone. I said, let's suppose it did work like that. Would that matter to you if it solved your problem? She goes, no, I could care less who I leave money to.
There's nobody to leave it to anyway, right?
And that's not how they work. But if it did work like that, and like say you were single or didn't have family or, you know, you didn't care about leaving money to your beneficiaries, who cares if it solved the problem?
And it goes back to what you said about balance. No investment is going to do everything that we need an investment to do. We would never say, oh, you have a priority to leave legacy. Well, this annuity is for leaving a legacy to your family. No, right? It's to take care of what it has to so that the other money can be legacy money. It's all about
because
balance.
money's a terrible multitasker. It cannot do everything at the same time.
That's right.
Think of it like a factory, right? You have the guys on the conveyor belt, you have the guys, you know, working, managing, the assembling, you have the overseers that are up in the box making sure everything's moving. Imagine if you only had the guys on the line.
Right.
Is that going to work?
Factory's not going to work.
Factory's not going to work. If you only had the guys up top overseeing everything, is the factory going to work? No. You need to have different layers to make that factory work. And a retirement is the same thing.
Sounds like teamwork.
Yeah, it's teamwork. It's teamwork. And this is why I'm writing the new book, Financially Unbreakable, because we want people to be financially unbreakable. We want them to know these unique strategies outside of invest your money in a diversified portfolio, buy the index, buy a few bonds, 60-40 split. Come on, folks. That's done with. It's over with. That game is over with. It's old news. You're making a huge mistake if that's the way you're approaching it. But Financially Unbreakable, look for it soon. It's going to be coming out. It's going to teach you all of these strategies that are available because just like we're seeing fiat currency changed, and I won't get into that. And everybody is now understanding it. They're rushing to Bitcoin because it is the new digital gold. We have to understand that the market of financial planning products have changed, and the way we do things are much different. So, fellas, this was a great show.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you guys again next week. I want to talk about taxes next week because I think, of course, that's a big thing that really people don't understand.
Sure.
Really eats into their retirement and can cause a lot of problems.
Absolutely.